All right, the hour of 7:30 has arrived. I'd like to call to order this business meeting of May 21st, 2019 of District 116. Roll call, please.
Member Carter?
Here.
Member Exum?
Here.
Member Patton?
Here.
Member Flosky?
Here.
Member Fisher is here.
Actually going back and forth.
Vice President Hall?
Here.
And President Dent.
Here. Quorum is present. Do we have any additions, corrections, or modifications to this evening's agenda?
Yeah, we would like to move 11.7 and 11.8 from the consent agenda to the individual items. This is the roofing bid.
All right. Are there any citizen statements this evening? If any citizen wishes to address the board, please fill out a goldenrod sheet and present it to our recording secretary. Any citizens? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move forward. We will have a closed session, executive session, after this evening's agenda. For the purposes of collective bargaining, there will be no action following that. So we now are ready for a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We are ready then. We have no we postponed our commendations and recognitions and our press plus 99 and 100 to next meeting because of time constraints. And so we'll go ahead and start with our administrative reports. Mark, you're up first. Habitat for Humanity.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So for those of you who are new to the board, this is our 6th year of presenting to you our Habitat for Humanity service learning trip, which we take to Tutwiler, Mississippi each February. And so this is a trip that began in 2014 when we kind of thought we might know what we were doing. And over the years, we've gone every year for about a week in the middle of the school year, and it's become definitely one of the highlights, not only of our school year, but I think of our high school itself. To just give you I think I can do this, it's not too confidential. I'm the social studies department chair at Urbana High School. I was interviewing a candidate this morning, and he mentioned in the Q&A at the end of the interview that one of the things that he was really excited about with coming to Urbana was that he had seen that we do this Habitat for Humanity work, and it seemed like something that he would be really excited about trying to join us or do something like that. I also just wanted to reemphasize, which I've said pretty much every year we've come here, that I feel as though what we do is very unique in the country. I know a lot of teachers across the country, and I'm not sure that all of the teachers that I know would be allowed to do what we do. There's nothing dangerous about it. There's nothing actually that weird about it. But schools tend to be a little bit uptight about this kind of thing. And one of the things that keeps me in Urbana and keeps me excited about going to school every day, most days maybe, is the idea of working with Habitat. So I just really want to say thank you to the school board. Thank you to the administrators who've been involved in this over the years. It's something very unique, and it's something really cool, and I think it's something we want to continue to do as long as we can. And so I appreciate all of the support you guys have shown us, and our administration has also been at the high school, has been very supportive as well. So what I'm going to do now is be quiet, and I'm going to let the students who went on this year's trip, some of the students, a lot of them couldn't be here for a variety of reasons, but a small cadre of the students who went on this year's trip are going to talk about what we did and why it was meaningful to them. So thank you. One last thing. This is Laura Koritz, who is our co-shepherd.
This is pretty much how it works.
Yeah. I think she prefers it this way. So. First up will be, who's first? Yubbs. Okay, so Yubbs.
So Habitat International is a non-for-profit organization meant to give people affordable housing and also unite communities through housing. So it was started with the goal, the way people get a house through Habitat is they go through a long, strenuous process that really vets their character, their financial circumstances, and their overall ability to upkeep their house and if they're truly deserving of it. So they have to get character recommendations from employers, people, dear friends of them, and also they for their housing they have to put in 400 hours of sweat equity, which is they volunteer, they build parts of it, so it shows them how valuable the house is to themselves. They still have to pay a mortgage for it, but it's at 0 to 2% interest rates so that it doesn't put financial strain on them and they're better able to manage their finances.
Okay. I'm Sophie Erasmus. So basically, we go to the Mississippi Delta to Tutwiler, Mississippi, which is right outside of Clarksdale. And a little bit of a background about this area is Mississippi is the poorest state in the country, and this county is the poorest county in that state, and Clarksdale is actually the poorest town in that county. So we're kind of like at the heart of where change needs to happen. As I'm sure you know, the Mississippi Delta used to be a very large source of cotton back during the days of slavery, and that is absolutely prevalent today. You can see economically and in all sorts of ways how that's kind of echoes today. So the community that we are in is Tutwiler, which is just right outside of Clarksdale, and Habitat houses are completely noticeable there. The neighborhood that we work in, which we'll get into a little bit later, is completely Habitat houses, and then they are dispersed all throughout the whole town and in Clarksdale and in the surrounding areas. An interesting note about Tutwiler, which is where we base out of, is that it is basically where blues was discovered at the railroad crossing. And there's a whole bunch of really notable things about this little town, including the free clinic that is also there that we'll also talk about later, that we volunteer at. It's a place where a lot of people come from far and wide to see. So it's a small town with a lot of stuff going on. So.
I'm Allie Henches. So on I believe it was a Wednesday morning before school started, all 25 of us met up at the school early in the morning and divided up into 4 different vans. A lot of us were put with people that we hadn't really known real well. The students were made up of juniors and seniors, so a lot of the juniors were put with some seniors that they had never really talked to, and same with the seniors with the juniors. So the van ride's probably about, like an 8-hour ride down to South. So on the way, we made a pit stop, I think first in Missouri, and just had some lunch, and had some more, time to interact and conversate, more than we already had with our van mates. And then we eventually stopped in Arkansas at the Southern Tenant Farmers Museum, and this is just a really good way to kind of start learning about the history of the South. And we learned a lot about sharecropping and cotton, kind of the agriculture down there. And then we made our way to Memphis, where we took a little fun pit stop at the Peabody motel or hotel, and watched some ducks march. Just a little fun thing, to kind of do. And then we had dinner, and then eventually we made our way later that night to Tutwiler, Mississippi, where we went to the dorms and kind of just settled in and for the night and was beginning our trip. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Tilly. I'm a junior. Every morning we'd wake up at 7 a.m. sharp and make ourselves breakfast. Then we would report to either the work site, the health clinic, the school, and we had different jobs at each location. At the build site, which was in walking distance from where we were staying at the condo, we learned how to mud, which you can see in some of the pictures, and put up drywall. We spent a lot of our time working really hard for like all day except for Sunday, which we had off, and to help build this house and finalize the house for whoever was going to receive the house. We spent the time mudding and hanging out with our friends. This is when most of the bonding happened, where we got really close with our schoolmates, and we listened to a lot of like really bad pop music and had a really nice time.
I wouldn't say it's bad. Okay. If I didn't say earlier, my name is Yob Demisi. So this is Booker T. Washington International Magnet School. It's a local school in Clarksdale where we volunteered at when we weren't helping at the build site. So in the room that you see in these pictures are a special ed room. Students here are between the school grades of kindergarten to the 2nd grade. And we helped ask the teachers what they wanted. And it's this school that helped us realize the differences between what we experience in schools here at Urbana versus what some less fortunate people experience down in the Delta. We witnessed classes where teachers couldn't really control their students. They had over 30 like little first graders running around. And then another thing that's evident in down south is that there's still corporal punishment, which some of us even witnessed, which was very surprising. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a junior, and so I'll be talking about the Emmett Till sites. I know that the Emmett Till sites were something that like deeply moved all of us. They were something that I think a lot of us like kind of felt like very emotionally while we were there. So we started by we went to the courthouse where Emmett Till was tried, and we kind of outside of the courthouse there was a statue with that showed how change had still not been completely made, because there was still I think the Confederate flag there. So we went inside the courthouse. We walked around. It had been renovated a little bit, but we just kind of gave us a deeper feel for that history. We went to an interpretive center also and talked about just like the events of the Emmett Till murder and the issues, a lot of the issues that were related to that in the South, and the history of stuff like that had happened. This was kind of a big deal in the area, and just like getting to be there and see the history like for ourselves was very powerful and moving. We went to the river site also. Oh, we went to the grocery store where Emmett Till had supposedly whistled at the woman working there, and it was at night, and when we saw it, it was completely like vines were covering it. It was not in very good shape at all, and that kind of showed how it was kind of had been like abandoned, forgotten. People had kind of just like ignored it. And then we went to the river site where we were all like the river site where Emmett Till's body was found. That was a very moving experience. And while we were there, we saw the sign for the river site actually had bullet holes in it. So yeah, that just kind of showed how just like a lot of the situation in the South, like in many parts of the South, especially in like that area, this like is still like very like unchanged. Yeah. My name's Stav Kramer. So on the third day of the trip, at night we went to Ground Zero Blues Club, and it was something that I never thought I would like enjoy, and like going there, it was a great bonding experience to see everyone, but it was also something that I would never experience in Urbana-Champaign or ever think that I would enjoy experiencing. And it was, we listened to live music and we played some pool, and it was just like we danced around a bit, and it was just such a fun experience. It was, yeah.
So on Saturday morning, we had a half day of building, and then with the rest of our day, we went up to Memphis, Tennessee, where we visited the National Civil Rights Museum, which was at the Lenore Motel, which is where MLK Jr. got assassinated. So the motel had been renovated into the biggest civil rights museum in the country. We saw exhibits that started from the start of slavery all the way towards the end of the civil rights movement, and in current day police brutality cases. This was my favorite part of the trip because I've never learned as much in a history class as I've learned just going throughout the museum. It was very detailed. It was very interactive. And then at the end of it, we got a little surprised. We talked to a lady who has been protesting that museum for every single day for the last 32 years because she used to live in the motel where it's now located. But in the construction of the motel, she actually got kicked out of her room. And then ever since then, she's been protesting it and saying that it's not what MLK would want, because he would want the money put into the hotel given to charities around town or that support poor people or civil rights. And it's this experience talking with the lady that represents what we get, one of the things we get out of this trip, which is thinking about things a different way, thinking deeper into it, and yeah.
After the Civil Rights Museum, we went to a very famous street in Memphis called Beale Street. There were many blues clubs and bars and shops which we explored. Well, not the bars. We explored. We explored a lot of the gift shops, and we had dinner there, which was really nice. It was a great bonding experience, and we got to visit. Or many many students experienced a town which they would never have had the opportunity to see without the trip.
So we also had the next day we had a quick stop in Oxford, Mississippi. We visited a bookstore while there. It was pretty cool. It was a nice little bookstore. And then we went to a fast food place that's apparently very well known in the South, called Cookout. And then we went to the University of Mississippi, and we kind of learned about the story of James Meredith, the first black student enrolled, admitted, yeah.
So on the sixth day, we met up with Uni High School at a church in Clarksdale. They also have a similar Mississippi trip. They go directly to Clarksdale and we go to Tutwiler, but it happened that we overlapped this year. So it was really interesting to be able to meet up. We had this like fun little game where one person, like randomly one person at Urbana and one person at Uni got the same pin, and then we like talked to each other, like we found each other and talked to each other and had dinner together. So that was a really neat evening. And a little background about, so it says meet up with Uni High School in spring. So basically, spring program is part of the, one of the things that we were involved with when we were there. It was started by Uni High and Urbana High students, and it's a broad program, but it's basically a after-school support system and kind of program for kids in Clarksdale. So it can range from kids in pre-K all the way through college level. So kids can go there after school. It can be anywhere from just a place to be after school from 3:30 to 5:30 at this building that they do have in Clarksdale. And the involvement ranges all the way up to attending parent-teacher conferences on all these things. So it's basically a support system for both the students and the families because situations are really unique up there. So it's like the way they described it was the average kid in Clarksdale school systems is in need, and they go even below that to the kids who, like, this is their option. So it was really incredible. A lot of the days, like the school days that we were there, a group was sent in the afternoon to just work at the spring initiative for about 2 hours, and that was really wonderful. I went one of the days and had some great conversations with kids, and they had really great bonds with the people there teaching and leading and stuff, so that was really incredible to see.
So a real quick thing about the spring program and Uni High. A lot of people on the Urbana girls soccer team and the Uni girls soccer team are also involved with Habitat, me included. And so I thought it would be really kind of a cool idea if while I was there in Mississippi at that meetup, I decided to talk to some of the girls that were on both soccer team and Habitat. And we decided it'd be really cool to maybe, we were versing each other later that season. And we decided to make that game into a benefit game for the spring program. So with that, we were able to sell T-shirts and even ask for donations at the game. And with that, all profits and donations obviously went straight to spring, and we were able to raise over $500. So that was a really kind of cool thing we got to do in the community. And obviously, we hope to do more things like that in the future. Okay, so then day 7, this is our last night, sadly. But to end it off, every trip, I believe, we have a community potluck with the community of Clarksdale and Tutwiler. The community is so grateful for what Habitat has done down there. And it's so awesome to come together on this last night and just kind of celebrate our work and obviously how much they contribute to like what we've experienced and how we contribute the work that we do for them. So this was just, we met up in the church and just had dinner and just had a great time interacting with everybody. And then later that night, we just kind of talked about and reflected on the whole trip. And it was just really meaningful. And you could see at this point how close we'd all become and how much of an impact it had on all of us. So, yeah.
So one of the impacts the trip has had on a lot of people that went on it was it got them thinking about how they can help their own community back here at Urbana. When we were on the trip, we could instantly see what we did and how it benefited people. When it was at spring, when we played with the children, or at the Booker T. Washington when we helped the teacher, and then we just saw the joy on the kids' faces. When we were at the Pollock and we saw how grateful everybody in the community was for what we did there and what we did for them, a lot of that brought a lot of satisfaction to the people who went there, and it showed that the things we do, even in a small way, can affect somebody greatly, and that it's something we should bring back here to Urbana.
So not only did we have the opportunity to impact a community there, but the 21 kids who went on the trip, most of whom were not close with each other or friends at all, came back. And the only way we could describe the way we felt was this family that we had built without meaning to. We knew it was going to be a great experience, but we didn't know how emotionally changing it was going to be. And we talked a lot as we were crying in the vans back and when we got to school about how we could bring this utter feeling of happiness that we felt coming back, feeling like we're part of a community that is accepting and loving and really open with each other. The biggest thing that we talked about was how do we keep that alive here, and how do we spread that beyond our 21 kids? So I think that that's something that we've had a lot of conversations about, and that we've tried a lot to do, is bring this, at least part of this feeling that we got on the trip that's unique and special to the kids who didn't have the opportunity to go. And yeah, so that was this part.
Yeah, so I mean, this kind of just sums up what we've been saying. But yeah, I mean, this trip obviously has a massive impact on the students who go, and you know, we're trying to extend that to as many students as we can. So it's just going to continue in the future, and obviously both the students and the adults and the community down there is just changing and never stops from this trip. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Okay. Any questions for the team from the board?
I actually have a question as a first generation removed from the South. I heard you guys talk about breakfast, making breakfast, right? I want you to be truthful. I'm watching your eyes. Okay, who actually ate grits?
Did anyone eat grits at the Cracker Barrel when we went that one time?
Oh, no.
No.
No, I know, no. We don't make grits when we're down there because we probably should.
Cracker Barrel? Come on.
No, I know. It's embarrassing.
Cracker Barrel?
It's
No.
embarrassing.
All right. I'm just
Although,
wondering. I didn't.
I would like to mention something, Dr. Williams, that there is a certain treat in the South now that we partake in every year at our potluck. Would any of you like to describe
Treat?
and I'm not sure if you'd be familiar with this, but
Oh,
you want
let's
to
hear it.
explain, Dr. Williams?
Okay, I never personally ate this, and I don't think I will, but some people tried grape flavored pickles. Kool-Aid. Grape Kool-Aid flavored pickles. Actually, you did.
I don't know what to say about it. It was an interesting experience.
Well, at least pickled pig feet, right? Since you were in the Delta.
Did you know Kool-Aid pickles?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
As a fellow first generation from Mississippi, and actually from the specific area where you go, did anybody have boiled okra?
Yeah. Oh, that was loud.
Good, Tilly.
Yeah. At the potluck, we did have some okra, I think. Yeah.
Collards,
Yeah.
turnips.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You got to learn to take that okra and swallow it whole.
We also had Church's chicken, which I heard is a Southern delicacy.
That doesn't count either.
Okay, it's over now. Churches?
I hear you guys have a no cell phone policy. How was that? Was it?
So yeah, so as soon as we get in the vans down to Mississippi, we don't have our phones at all. We don't have any kind of technology except the Chromebooks that are brought for us just to do homework with. But it really allowed us to connect with everybody else on the trip and to really just look up and see everything around us and just how fun everybody else is. I learned a lot of things I didn't know about. A lot of my own close friends went on a trip, and there's a lot of things I learned about them that I never would have ever thought about beforehand. And I really just learned that you can have a really good time without a phone.
Believe it or not.
All right, anything else? Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Next, turn the page. No communications. We do have action items this evening. On our consent agenda, we have minutes from our April the 16th business meeting, our April 23rd special meeting, our May 6th special meeting, and our May 7th study session. We have April bills and checks, education fund bills in the amount of $899,000, operations and maintenance fund bills in the amount of $121,000, transportation fund bills in the amount of $42,000, working cash in the amount of $52,000, tort in the amount of $1,300, life safety in the amount of $30,000, payroll in the amount of $4.2 million, and adult education fund bills in the amount of $107,000. No interfund loans this evening. We have a pretty standard personnel item list as far as I could tell. Okay, and we do have a resolution authorizing and directing the sale or disposal of personal property, which is mostly some old tech equipment that's no longer usable. Sanitary hauling contract extension for 2009-2020, which continues with Allied Waste. And that's it for our consent agenda. Motion, anyone wish to have any, the other two items, 11.7 and 8 have already been pulled. Anyone wish to pull anything else? Motion to accept the consent agenda would be in order.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Flosky?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes.
President Bennett?
Yes. Next, we'll go to individual action items. The first on those lists is gifts. Maggie Kinnaman from Muhammad donated a violin, bow, and case to the district orchestra program. Both Urbana Middle School and high school band programs received $250. Each received $250 from an anonymous donor. Diane Gottheil of Urbana donated $100 to her son's, to the Josh Gottheil Excellence in Music Award Fund. Preston Williams Elementary School PTA donated $48 to help support a field trip. New Free Will Baptist Church in Champaign donated $200 to the Evelyn Burnett Underwood Music Program, and Patricia Jones in Urbana donated 100 $5 Starbucks gift cards to Urbana Middle School for staff recognition. Is there a motion to accept the gifts and send the thank you notes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next is our Urbana High School youth program that was presented to us at the last meeting. And this is a request for $3,334 from the district. Discussion?
I move acceptance.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Sorry? Did you, are you really in for it? I thought you wanted to say.
Well, I think we already discussed that went through Carol as we suggested.
At the last meeting when it was presented, there were two requests of the group. One was to discuss with Carol, and Carol says they did go in and discuss it with Carol in the budgeting aspect of it. And the other was to potentially change the compensation limit to allow more kids to be involved. That has not changed.
Okay.
Any other discussion, questions?
I was just wondering which fund this would come out of if we agreed to do this.
Carol?
Which fund would this $3,000 come out of? Education, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully in support of, I, kind of followed how it's been going in Champaign, and they're, a year or two ahead of us. I mean, they've got a track record, and as far as I can tell, this is being set up very similar, if not identical, to the way it's run in Champaign, and so, I mean, I kind of support pushing it ahead in the way that it was rolled out in Champaign, because they seem to have a good track record there, and why kind of mess with a formula that seems to be working. $3,000 is, it's not nothing, but it's a relatively small amount for what we're getting from this program, with a lot of volunteer time from the community, so I'm in strong support of it.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. No further discussion. This is spending money, so it requires a roll call.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Flosky?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes.
President Bennett?
Yes. Motion carries. Food service bid. Carol?
Yes, on Monday, May 6th, we had the food service bid opening, and as you can see from the memo, even though we sent out to 7 prospective companies, 3 of which came to the pre-bid meeting. We had 2 actual bids on the contract, one from Aramark, our current provider, and Arbor Management. And Arbor was the low bid with a little under $14,000 difference in the 2 bids. So we're recommending tonight that we approve the bid with Arbor Management. As you all know, we have been longtime customers with Aramark, and over probably 20-plus years, probably 23 years that we've been with them. So this was a tough decision, but with the bid criteria, I mean, we're the ISB is very stringent as far as the bid criteria that we have to use. We come up with our own bid criteria. It's approved by them. And as long as the company that's the low bid meets all of that criteria, we have no reason not to award the bid to that company. We went through the bid very closely, called lots of references. I think the bid only requires that we have 5 phone references that are positive. We called probably 7 or 8. They just last night received the bid in Mahomet as well, who was also with Aramark for a long time. So they will be in the area. Some of the other questions that some board members asked, in the bid, the interesting thing is we wanted to make sure, one of the problems that we have had with our current contract is just turnover. Aramark had been constantly struggling with turnover and trying to keep people. So we thought, well, like similar as we did with the first student transportation contract, we increased the wages. We actually put a schedule in the, as every district is required to do, we have to put a schedule of what the current staffing is, so Aramark gives us that information. We also put in a separate schedule of what we wanted the staffing to be, so we took it up a notch, increased all the pay $1 an hour for all the staff, and wanted to add an assistant director as well, because we felt that when the staffing was a problem, the managers always ended up going down and having to run the day-to-day when really they should be up managing the program. So we wanted there to be an additional management person to handle that. So with those additions in the contract, we are still spending less. And I think it was somewhat confusing in the memo that I sent out. What we did to compare is we took, the contract is based on meal rates. So they don't bid a total dollar amount like you see here. They bid meal rates, a meal rate for lunch, a meal rate for breakfast, and so on, snacks and everything. We have a listed quantity of number of meals that we've done in the past. We kind of estimate what those meals are for the year, and those meals, unit rates as we call them, are multiplied by that bid rate that they have for each meal to come up with the total contract price. So to compare our current bid with what we had this current year with Aramark, we took those same units times the meal rates that we're currently paying, and that's where we came up with the $153,000 less. So if we did the same meals, I mean the same number of meals, we would be spending $153,000 less.
153 or, earlier, I thought the difference was, what's the difference between the 2 bids? I thought it was 14.
It's 14,000.
14,000.
But I'm saying that's the difference between, so Aramark actually bid less this year than what they were going to have for the current year. So if
Okay.
they were to stay, they were going to get less money. So they were basically
So there's
cutting their rates.
$14,000 difference between the 2 companies.
Yes.
But both companies are roughly $150,000 under what we
That-
have,
thank you.
what we spent last year.
Yep. So I wanted to make sure that was clear, because it probably wasn't real clear in the memo. So that's good news. We're getting more. We're getting, people will get paid more. We have an assistant director, and we're hopefully going to be spending less. And again, as as our participation increases and our meal rates, our meals, number of meals we serve goes up, obviously we're going to pay more, but they will make more as well. The company does. So, what other questions? So to answer the questions, all of these increases in the rates and the assistant director was part of the bid, so both companies bid on that amount of personnel. And you said, does Arbor do any other districts in the area? I think Morton was one of the closest before Mahomet. They will have now as well. But we called many references, spoke to, and I did not hear one bad thing. I mean, it was all glowing. It was, surprising, but I was very happy to have the good news. So, some of the things that were said, very happy, very skilled at problem solving, food quality was better. People that had been with Aramark and with Arbor said Arbor was better. Very happy with them. Employees seemed very happy, which made me happy that it seems like they treated their employees very well. One person that had been with them and lost them was sorry to see him go. Food quality good. Would rate them in the top 3 because some people that had been with several different companies over the years said they were one of the top ones they'd worked with. So, And Jeff is here tonight. If anybody has any questions, Jeff Kraus is the Vice President of Sales for Arbor, and I'm introducing him. But if anybody has any questions, he is here to answer questions as well. So, and if you're going to speak, you have to speak into the mic.
Speak in this, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Jeff Kraus. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Arbor Management. Very excited about the potential opportunity to partner with the Urbana School District. I can't say that we'd be serving Kool-Aid pickles, but you know, we definitely want to make sure that our students are eating and that we increase participation, and that is our #1 goal. A little brief bit about Arbor Management, if you're not familiar with who we are. In the 1970s and the 1980s, the largest food service company in the country was called Service Systems. That company ended up in 1985 getting sold to Sodexo. You may or may not have heard of Sodexo before. At that point, 2 members branched off and formed Arbor Management. And so for over 30 years, the company has continued to grow. And of the 2 founders, one has since passed on. The other one is actually still with the company to this day. I've been with the company for 10 years. And we are actually based in Illinois, in Itasca. Our headquarters are here, and our test kitchen and everything is all here. And we service over 60 school districts between the states of Illinois and Wisconsin. And we market to the entire Midwest. And around this area, as Carol mentioned, last night, we actually were awarded the bid at Mahomet, and prior to that, we had Morton. We still have Morton, Canton Union, Midwest Central, Midland. I'm just of the ones that are around the area, so to speak, and we'll continue to look to grow and build on our good name. So our main focus really is about partnering with the school districts and the people, the employees. They're the most important thing to us because they are the people that are in the trenches. They are there every single day. They're the ones serving the food to the students, and they're extremely important to us. So our job is to make sure that everyone is happy, students, employees, administration, and just improve the program. So
I wanted to say, too, we did get the word out as quickly as we could to Aramark staff, because Arbor has committed to hiring as many as want to come on board that we currently have, which is important as far as the transition and keeping things as smooth as possible. So we have a meeting scheduled Thursday afternoon to meet with Aramark employees with applications, and we want to try to get them on board as soon as we can.
because it could be a little anxiety there.
Yeah, there was a little anxiety.
We want to make sure that no one has that, and everybody feels that they're wanted and they have a job, and especially going into next year. Very crucial.
Yeah. And because our contract currently ends June 30th, we have summer school and summer food program starting. We're going to extend our contract with Aramark for 1 month. So this contract doesn't actually begin until August 1st. The state recommended that we do that just because otherwise we'd be in the middle of summer school and serving food one day and have to switch, and that just wasn't going to work out well. So we will get that in place, and we'll have to come back to the board in June with an extension with Aramark for that 1 month. So does that answer all the questions?
Yeah,
as far
thank
as-
you. Do you foresee, I mean, because as you said, we were with Aramark for a long time, but I'm very excited to be, working with Arbor Management. What changes do you foresee, if any? I mean, except for maybe some new staff. I mean, in terms of what our students will see in the cafeterias when they come to school. Will there be?
Well, I know the food service director will change, because I think Natalie, who's our current food service director, wants to stay with Aramark, so she will not, is not interested in transferring to Arbor. So we will have a new food service director and an assistant. Otherwise, hopefully, the staff will stay pretty much the same, and
How about from a student viewpoint, what will change?
Yeah.
Well, what we like to do in every district to us is a snowflake. Every district is very different. And what might work in Skokie is not going to work maybe in Urbana or Dixon, Illinois, or wherever. Every district is different. So what we like to do is we like to work with the food service committees and get the student feedback, get the parent feedback, get the administration's feedback, and make our menus around that. Yes, we have menus that we can bring in and make recommendations, but what we want to do is tailor that menu to the district. Every district is very different. And so for us, the only way we are successful is by increasing the participation. That's the only way that we make money. So we have a vested interest to make sure that your students are getting fed every single day, and that more and more are getting fed every single day. So that comes along with the marketing, that comes along with promotions, and we do certain different things that other companies might not do. And that is, we have what's called a dietitian test kitchen, where we have a dietitian come in, and in our test kitchens at our headquarters, we'll test different products, whether it's healthy products and whatnot, hummus wraps. We'll take a hummus wrap and we'll introduce that to the students with the dietitian having information right next to the dietitian so she can hand out, educate them, and we basically do a taste testing with all of the students. If that particular product goes well, then we'll go ahead and put that on the menu for a trial run, and go from there. If it doesn't, we don't waste time putting it on the menu. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. We don't want to do that. But we will do that. We will do display cookings, which is always a fun thing to do. It's kind of out of the box. We'll have a chef come in, do display cookings in front of the students, and that's always just a fun experience. And I've actually helped doing that, so it's actually kind of fun. But there's a million things that we want to do, and there's a million things that we can do. So, but the bottom line is, increasing participation is the number one thing. So that's our goal, and that's what we're here to do.
And as far as the number of entrees that we serve, that's laid out in the bid specs, so none of that will change. I can tell you just from looking at the menus they provided, wide variety and a lot of different things that we're not used to seeing. I think that will appeal to our diverse student body. And we even, when talking to one reference, they said that they had been with Arbor and lost them, and they said that the thing that kids noticed most is something about a pretzel bun. The pretzel bun that was on the burgers, when the new company, I think it was Aramark that came in, didn't have that pretzel bun, kids were going, what in the heck,
Oh.
They wanted that pretzel bun back.
Pretzel roll, yeah. It's
pretzel
really,
roll.
really
It
good.
was-
So, yeah.
So,
But,
I guess we have to try the pretzel bun.
Yeah,
when they come in.
great. Now we've established a standard of the pretzel bun.
Yep.
So that's, all right. It's the Arbor pretzel bun.
All right, yes.
To remind me of the mechanics of the bidding process, because it's a one-year contract, but it doesn't have you bid out every year, correct?
No, it's a one-year contract with 4 options for renewal. So that's why, if you recall, we bring it back every year, and it can increase by CPI. So there is something built into the bid. I think the other question that was asked was about the minimum wage, whether or not that was built in. Obviously, this first year it's not, because the minimum wage hasn't kicked in. I mean, we should be fine. But I think the state board has also built it in. You don't have to rebid when that minimum wage kicks in. It allows the contractors to have an increase to allow for that. So there might be, in addition to CPI, is the way I understand it, that you will be able to ask for due to the minimum wage increase.
ISB has set up almost a format for each district to utilize in order to get that properly done. So, yes.
So this is a one-year contract, so they have to perform this first year, and if we're not happy, we would have to put it out to bid again, but we would also have the option to renew for 4 additional years if things are going well. And we hope they do.
Well, I intend to support this, but I want to make sure that we also communicate that it's not due to any dissatisfaction with our prior, but I'm looking forward to seeing us move to the next level, which, Carol, from your description, it sounds like we will do so. And so, but I just want to make it clear to
Current.
long partners.
Yes, and just so you know, I invited them tonight because I wanted to also thank them and show our recognition to them.
Yeah.
Originally, we thought this was a really long agenda, so they passed when they thought it was going to be going late. But I will invite them to come back, and I
Yeah.
think before they leave, we need to bring them in because, you know, it has been a good partnership for a long, long time, and we need to make sure they understand that before they leave.
Yes.
So I will
All
make
right.
sure to do that.
Further discussion, questions?
All of our little programs, all our feeding programs throughout the day, all of those stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The breakfast thing.
Breakfast in the
after
classroom,
after
all the
school type of
snacks.
dinners and all that other type of
Yep.
thing. Okay.
Yep.
Then, of course, my question's going to be, when can you come in and serve us some sampling?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have cookies in the back. No, sorry. It's all right. Sorry, not tonight.
Soon, I rate.
We'll try to
Is
work
there a
that out.
motion?
I move acceptance of the food service bid with Arbor Management.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes.
And President Demmett.
Yes. Motion's carried.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard.
Yes.
Should you put a peppermint stick on it?
I can hear it now. Next fall, the kids are going to go home. Where in the heck did these Kool-Aid pickles come from? Okay. Next up is our resolution directing transfer of funds from working cash funds. Carol,
Yes.
this is our normal annual.
No, this is not
Oh.
normal at all. As you've probably heard, the tax bills are still
Oh,
not out and
yes.
are not estimated to be coming out till maybe the end of May, maybe the 28th, which means taxes won't be, the first payment won't be due until June 28th at the earliest. So we, in the past, have received close to $20 million in those first two tax distributions prior to June 30th, that we may not be getting any. So that's a 20 million shortfall in our cash flow. So obviously wanting to make sure that we can make payroll and pay people and continue doing business, we're looking at our cash flow very closely every day, estimating out to see how we're going to do. We haven't gone out for tax anticipation warrants since my first year in 1993. That was the last time we did it, and I don't want to do it again this year. So we are doing this transfer resolution in order to move, because we do have working cash bonds, the $3 million that we just sold. We have some of the Yankee Ridge working cash bonds, a little bit money left in those. So all the bond funds that are normally restricted to just being used for those projects, we are going to have to access in order to make it through the end of June. So that's what this resolution is for, is to ask permission and have the board give permission to be able to utilize basically all funds that we have available to us to be able to get it through the end of the year. As a small district, I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, there's districts around here and that are, sure, a lot of districts are going out for tax anticipation warrants, which are basically just short-term loans that we, we're going to keep watching closely. If we think we're going to end up having to do that, we will come back to you in June. We are doing everything we can. We're going to do expenditure reports more often so we can get reimbursed by the state quicker. So we're trying to put in place as many things as we have control over, which isn't a whole lot. So this is just one of several strategies we're going to be using, and that's
So
what this
sometimes
is.
transfer is considered permanent.
This is not a
Are you intending to
permanent.
transfer it back?
Yeah, if you read the resolution, it specifically says, we only have, this is only $4.5 million that we have access in these funds. So it's up to $4.5 million, and then as soon as those tax revenues are received, the distributions are received, hopefully first couple weeks in July, we would pay this back immediately. So it's very short term. So it's nothing that isn't, it's just a timing problem. This isn't
So-
anything that's going to impact our budget in the long run. It's just a timing problem. It's just cash flow, making sure that the bottom line is this is $20 million of cash receipts that we normally have, about $10 million in May and another $10 million in June that we are probably not going to get. until July.
So I'm sorry, I thought this was the routine, and I should have read this ahead of time. So
Mm-mm.
you're transferring the money into the education fund?
Into all the funds that have payroll, so Ed, probably O&M.
Okay, those are all open funds, which,
Yep.
the reason I was asking the question, because if they were transferred into some closed funds, we would not be able to transfer them back out. So you're putting it into O&M and education.
Yeah, mostly education.
And, none
And Chapman and Cutler, our bond counsel, is the one who told, this is where, they're the ones that drafted up the resolution for
Okay.
us, so it's what's required according to the tax law in order to use those.
With the intention of transferring it back out
Mhm.
when we can. All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, and this is a one-time, I'm not even sure why the tax, I never found in the news why the tax receipts are delayed a month. I mean, but this hasn't happened before in my memory.
Never in my time.
So maybe, I don't know. So hopefully this
I
won't
think
happen again.
what was in the paper was that it was the.
State
the
multiplier.
multiplier, that
Yeah.
they were waiting on the state multiplier.
But why would they? Anyway.
It's also a completely new staff that's
True,
doing it.
yeah, I guess, but we've had new staff before, but anyway,
No,
hopefully
no,
this.
the county,
No, I know the
staff
county
is-
clerk, but we've had turnover in that office before.
not like this year.
Maybe not quite so much, but hopefully, yeah, okay.
Unprecedented. I mean, it's not been that way for a long time.
Okay, motion to approve would be in order.
I move acceptance of the resolution to transfer funds from working cash.
I'll second that.
This is roll call.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Pappen?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes.
President Bennett?
Yes, motion's carried. Now we'll go back to the 11.7 and 11.8. 11.7 is the middle school roof replacement. I noticed our architect is here this evening. If there's any questions.
And there was a memo at your place.
Mhm.
So originally, you just had the letters from IGW in your board packets.
Yes.
And ignoring the previous discussion about the timing issue with the cash, I want to make sure that it's understood this, because we're asking for more money here. This is going to be summer work. A lot of this is life safety work that we had in our decennial survey back in 2014. That was 5-year work that we have to get completed. The bids came in, I think for the middle school, we're recommending that we just take both the two alternates in the base bid. That is, I'm sorry, the high school was the only one that was only within like $50,000 over, I believe.
Approximately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
56,000.
are we talking about the high school?
The high school one is pretty straightforward. It's a little bit over what we budgeted, but we have the funds for that. The middle school is the one where we got alternates, and they were quite a bit over, but we're hoping that we can still, while they're up there, it makes sense to just go ahead and do the whole thing. We're not gonna have more money in 2 years if we wait than we do right now. We would have to rebid it out again, go through the costs, and things are gonna be more expensive in 2 years probably than they are now. So it would be our recommendation to go ahead and get this done. We don't have enough life safety money anyway to do it. We only get about $300,000 a year in life safety money. When I think Matt came to the board back in February to get approval to put this stuff out to bid, at that time, we knew we didn't have enough life safety money. We were going to be supplementing that with working cash, our $3 million working cash that is used for projects and facilities. So we intended on using working cash money to finish out this work anyway. It's just now that the bids are in, we'd like to go ahead and just get the complete middle school roof done. Because that was not done when we did the renovation back in '02.
Just by way of a minor correction, the middle school roof is a partial re-roof. It really doesn't get the entire middle school done. That work was characterized back at the 2014 Life Safety Survey as a partial roof replacement, and ODA restated that in the 2013 to 2018 capital plan. So regardless of how much work you decide to do at the middle school tonight, there is a lot of roofing to be replaced yet at the middle school.
We're just this is just the most immediate need.
Correct.
And so the working cash supplementing this, is this a loan, and as we continue to collect life safety payments over time, it would pay it back?
You could, but there's other life safety items on the list that we still haven't done yet either, I believe. From the decennial survey, were there other items still to be done from that?
Yes.
So you possibly could, yes, but we have $3 million in our 3-year working cash. 750 of that is meant for technology, 750 to $1 million.
I'm just wondering if we could.
So at least $2 million of it is
I'm wondering if we could
facilities.
characterize it as a loan, and then at some point in time in the future, we can always forgive the loan if we choose to. But I think we might be better off to characterize it as a loan. And then should the life safety revenue come in and be able to accommodate part of it,
Mhm.
that would allow the restoration of that working cash balance.
Right.
The
Yep.
working cash money. That's what I would prefer to do, and then at the immediate time when we say at a point in the future, we may decide that working cash cannot afford to pay it back, and then we can decide to voluntarily
So you're
forgive
talking for the $200,000 additional that
Yes.
we're asking?
Yeah. I'm 107. That's my, I thought we were only going to be doing alternate 1, but or alternate 2, I believe it was. But you're saying do all the alternates while we're at it. And I think that's a good step,
'Cause there were
especially
only-
in this
For
bidding
the,
climate.
for the middle school, that would require additional capital of approximately 200,000.
Yeah,
For the
that's
high
what we're
school,
talking.
approximately 50,000,
So a total of 250 altogether.
plus or
Mhm.
minus.
In the current bidding environment, since we have bids that are not grossly over, and we have people willing to do it.
Yeah, actually, I would say the construction is plentiful in our area currently, and we've been experiencing higher bids than normal on a lot of work, which is kind of why we develop so many alternates, add alternates for roof projects, which we normally wouldn't do. So, and I think we've experienced higher pricing than normal here, some, because for the budget that you guys approved not too long ago for the high school, we anticipated getting the entire high school done for that budget, and we didn't. We have to add 50 to actually complete the high school, which is a good goal, I think, is to be done with the high school roof replacement.
But what I was reacting to is what Carol said, if we wait 2 years to do this, when the money's here, we'll spend more than an extra 50, so why not get it all done now, before the roof leaks and causes any interior damage on either building?
Yeah, I think that's good logic, although I can't predict the market 2 years from now.
Doesn't seem to be easing up.
And we did extend this out till, what was the date? We originally wanted the work to be done in the summer, and you extended it out a little bit to hopefully ease that, so that we would allow more time to get the work
Well, yeah,
completed.
we were trying anything and everything to capture bidders for the job, first off, and then making it extending the schedule a little bit to hopefully make it comfortable for.
Well, I don't mind resolving a $50,000 problem rather than a $10 million problem. And so, once again, I'm 1 of 7. That's my thinking, is that we should do what needs to be done, and borrow the money, and as the money comes in, pay it back. Borrow the money from ourselves, from the working cash, and then pay it back as the life safety revenue materializes.
I agree.
On board.
And not to be a downer here, but I want to put the rest of the middle school roof on the radar of the board and the administration in the future, because it's a significant piece.
Is it a risk not to do it will we end up putting a bunch of money into repairs and leaks if we don't go ahead with it?
But we didn't even bid it out, we didn't even.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the alternate that wasn't originally recommended.
Well, actually, one thing that did impact the Urbana Middle School roof project is, once we re-inspected during design, we found out that there was a big base flashing problem on the main flat roof. That is where the flat roof intersects a vertical wall. And so a significant amount of the middle school budget has gone to base flashing repair, which reduced the amount of roof replacement we could accomplish. But there is still 75,000 square feet of middle school roof to do sometime in the
It wasn't
future.
bid out, wasn't part of the
Correct.
alternates. Got that. But Carol, you're recommending that we do all the alternates, are you not? Am I confused?
Nope.
No, you're not confused.
I thought I heard that. Okay, because what we had to read over the weekend was a couple of alternates were being left out.
Yeah.
And you,
Well, they recommended, they said that they recommended we do them all if the funding was available.
That was the proposal if you wanted to stay within your original budget.
I see.
All the alternates don't include the entire middle school roof.
Correct.
right.
But what, I'm just trying to figure out, what number are we talking about? Is it the total amount that's on our agenda, or is it
No.
the total amount on the memo?
The memo.
The May 21st memo from you to the Board of Education. The dollar amounts, they're different unless I'm not understanding it.
That's true. Don't look at the agenda item, look at the memo,
Okay. So
for
what
one
we're-
anyway.
Okay. So the budgeted cost for, in a high school is $620,000.
Your,
And middle school is $423,000. That's what we're talking about right now.
Carol, you want to say what the
673, I think.
numbers are for each project? So that we
I was
know
gonna say, I'm not
with
sure
all-
where those numbers came from. I'm looking at that now, I'm not sure.
Just say what they are, because
Okay.
I'm looking at 673, 575 at the high school.
Yep. And if,
But just say what they are, so everybody's on the same.
and that
page.
673, 575 is
Yes.
the base bid of,
Don't worry, don't make,
469, 350.
base bid plus all four alternates is
Right.
what you're asking for, a
Correct.
total of
Yes.
673.
that's
Yes.
correct, and that's
All right.
adding
At the
That's
high
what I
school.
said
at the
in
high
my
school,
memo.
and that's adding
Yes.
approximately $50,000 to the original
Yeah.
budget.
Gotcha, okay.
We're-
So go by
And
the
so for the
memo.
middle school, you're also saying base bid plus both alternates.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there you had a original budget of about 225, and you're going to have to add 207 plus or minus for a total of, did you total those, Carol? It's four,
You're adding the contingency in, so.
yes,
What's the total?
it would be four.
423,060.
Mhm.
Just want to make
Yeah.
sure everybody's on the same.
Say that
Yeah,
again,
no, I
Paul,
appreciate
please.
that, because it's
As far as
different.
awarding the bid, you don't include the contingency, you just award the bid to the contractor,
Correct.
and that's the 423,060.
Okay.
That's what we need to award. The base bid and the two
So
alternates.
altogether here, we're just barely under 1.1 million, folks. It's, in round numbers, we're at 1.1 million worth of roofing for the two buildings. I'm kind of glad you made this change because I don't want us to waste a lot of money repairing because we didn't do an alternate.
Fixing the base flashing at the Urbana Middle School, which we had to pay for in this project, should help to defer having to do the balance of the middle school for some period of time. Because that would have been our immediate source of leaks at the middle school.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the administrative recommendation as presented to us tonight?
So moved.
For the middle, for the middle school and high, talking both,
Yes.
yeah.
Second.
They're two
They-
separate
they're two
agenda
different
items.
items, but.
I moved the middle school replacement for $423,060.
Second.
Okay. So we're doing the middle school, 11.7.
All right. Is there a second?
Tori already did.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I apologize. Roll call.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes.
And President Demmett?
Yes. Motion's carried. Now, a motion for the high school in the amount of $673,575.
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes.
President Demmett?
Yes, motion's carried. Okay, do we have any future special or exec? Thank you, Riley.
Thank you, Riley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great superintendent pick. Thank you, Dr. Williams, for filling in. And grits being served at a Cracker Barrel was funny.
Yeah. Good to see you, Riley. Don't be a stranger. It's been our God.
We'll see a lot more.
All right. We have no future special or executive meetings scheduled at this point, I don't believe. So that's a good deal. We do have FOIA requests. Who's handling FOIA tonight?
I can read it, that's fine. Kevin Collins, all written communication between USD 116 admin and any representative of IGW, Ideal Environmental Services, Illinois Department of Health, Johnco Construction, in regards to 5918 asbestos fiber release at Yankee Ridge from 5918 through 6/15/18. Records of licensed asbestos workers who performed and what work was performed on 5918. All air samples performed and dates when samples were taken between 5918 and 6/15/18. The final report from Ideal Environmental Services, as referenced in email dated June 13, 2018, forwarded by Matt Abatessa from Don Owen's office.
And I'm sure those have been fulfilled. Okay. Superintendent's, thank you. Superintendent's report?
Sure. Shauna, you want to talk about a letter from a student that's at the board member's place?
Good evening. I just wanted to bring to your attention that I left a senior English portfolio. We have all of our students do a reflection about themselves, about their time with us, their time in school in general. And we left that for you to read at your leisure. This is a student who actually came to our district as a 6th grader, my first year at the middle school. And so I worked closely with him, and when he found out I was coming in this summer, he came in to see me over the summer and was very excited to say, I started with you and I'm going to finish with you, Miss Shear. So it's been a joy to be at Adult Ed this year and be able to work with some of the students that I met from my time at the middle school. But I think you will find his reflection about his growth and our program to be, I hope you'll find it to be inspiring and affirming of the work that we do here in our district for all of our students, early childhood all the way through. So read it as you can, and feel free to let me know if you have questions or anything. But I do just want to say at the end of this school year, my first year here at Adult Ed, that I really appreciate the support that you all have given our program over the years, and that the board has given our program for over the 50 years that we've been holding classes. So thank you for your support, and I hope you enjoy his inspiring words.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and I'd also like to take a moment to have Jean Corder talk about some safety plan updates that some board members had asked me about. Jean?
Yeah, in March, we had all of the buildings assemble safety plan teams that included building administration, teachers, support staff, clerical staff, custodial staff. We provided training for all of those teams with Mr. Jim Owens from the Regional Office of Education. He is one of 6 state trainers certified to provide training authorized by ISB in readiness and emergency management for schools K-12 through the Technical Assistance Center. At that training, the teams identified 3 or 4 top hazards or threats for their specific environments. They worked with Lieutenant Jason Norton from Urbana Police Department, and they also drafted an action plan for moving forward using the emergency operations planning template provided by Mr. Owens and the emergency operations planning team. The building teams then worked between early March, when we had our initial 4-hour training, through mid-April, when they turned their drafted plans into Dr. Williams. In those action plans. They were to identify community partners. They were to identify emergency response agency contacts for those top 3 or 4 hazards that they identified earlier. They were to work closely with Lieutenant Norton and his staff. He volunteered their time for as many meetings as it took to get plans developed. They were to communicate their plans with faculty and with their families, and to provide an overview of plans for their families to be included in the student handbooks for each school. More extensive communication and more extensive plans will be developed over the course of next year to fully take advantage of community partners and to develop more complete plans for moving forward. But given the time of year when we started, and given that we had a month to turn it around, we think they have a skeleton framework and they've got some ideas for how to move forward as they begin more extensive planning next year.
So Jean, these are, this is not the first time we've had safety plan. These are updates.
These are updates to the safety plans.
Comprehensive updates.
Yeah.
I think, I want to stress that.
Right.
Because some people in the community felt that we didn't have safety plans. And I'm potentially thinking that we might have even had some staff members that weren't aware that we had safety plans in place. And so these are updates. We've not been negligent with establishing them. We may have gotten a little bit behind on updating them. And that's what you're saying, is you're bringing us up to date with the update process.
That's correct.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
Other than you're counting the days.
Oh, I'd never count.
But it's 12 and, no.
I do know I have one more board meeting.
I know. One more Tuesday.
Board reports.
I just wanted to issue a reminder, sorry if you were going to say this already, John, but a reminder to our listening audience that we'll have a celebration in honor of our new superintendent, Dr. Ivory Tatum, next Tuesday from 4 to 6, that's May 28th, at the Commons in the high school. And everyone is invited to meet Dr. Tatum if they haven't, and to congratulate her on her new position, which starts July 1st. So next Tuesday, May 28th, 4 to 6, Urbana High School Commons. Everybody is invited.
And I know she starts on July 1st, but formally, but I have a feeling that there's already a lot of work being done.
Yeah, well, she's here tonight.
And a lot of communication with the interim superintendent.
And I think the public should know that she is in the room tonight also.
So, other board reports this evening?
Just a graduation, commencement.
Let's say that we came
Saturday.
within 0.7 of a second of having 2 champions at the state, 2 female champions at the state track meet too. But we did have one, the high jump, and came oh so close on the mile run. Yeah, the 3,200 run. Yeah, the 3,200 run. That's the length of an arm.
Also, I was just going to add, I was very pleased to see that one of our Urbana High School students won an award for her volunteerism. And I'm sorry, I do not have her name.
Asia Capel.
Asia, she was here.
Asia.
Okay, she was here. So I thought that was fabulous, all of the great work she's been doing.
Congratulations, 11,
11 o'clock,
Saturday.
yes, and we have to be there.
State Farm.
Board members, please be there at 10.
10, she said 10:15.
10:30?
10:15.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, the 29th.
Okay.
And a number of elementary promotional ceremonies, starting with Williams on the 24th, and I believe the rest of the elementaries follow suit on the 30th of May.
9:30.
And also the 24th is Gerber's graduation, 8th grade promotion and high school graduation as well in the afternoon.
2 o'clock.
So feel free.
Spread the love.
All right, I think we're prepared to, we will not be adjourning. We're prepared to adjourn to recess to a closed session for the purpose of, not recess, to reassemble for purposes of collective bargaining. That'll be a closed session. There will be no action afterwards. We need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
It's a roll call because we're moving into closed session.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes.
President Temmett?
Yes. Motion is carried, and just a reminder, there'll be no action following. So thank you, everyone, this evening.